Welcome to 2019 Summer Prosperity Series, our Summer to Prosper. Yay! We have done this class. This is our 25th prosperity class. So we always start in treatment, so take a deep breath, let it out, breathe in again. And what I know is that God is all that there is. There is an infinite presence of substance and supply. There is prosperity, abundance, and blessings that creates all out of itself by becoming that which it creates. The very essence of all form is prosperity and abundance. And I know that each of us is created out of that substance and supply of spirit. We are prosperous, abundant beings right here and right now. It is our very nature. It is the spiritual essence of us. And so right here and right now, we open to accepting more and more and more prosperity and abundance, money, blessings of all kinds into our lives right here and right now. We say yes to life. Yes. We open to it. We accept it. And we live the blessed life that we were always meant to live. We do it together as Summer Prosperity Series, Center for Spiritual Living, Asheville. We do it inside of ourselves. We do it with each other. And we have such a good time. Yes. And with great gratitude and thanksgiving, I release this into all that God is, knowing that God is all as together we say, and so it is. Wonderful. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in.
Welcome on.
Are you looking for seats? Okay, we got seats over here. So, usually, or in the past, we have started the Summer Prosperity class off with a specific kind of event. We're not doing that this year, but I want to kind of bring you up to speed in what this class is all about. How many people have attended prosperity class at Center for Spiritual Living, Asheville? Wonderful. Throw out into the room what it meant to you or what you got.
Money.
Connection, money,
Love.
abundance,
Prosperity.
prosperity, Karen,
A new job.
a new job,
Freedom.
freedom, belief, a home. We create. We are creative beings. And one of the fundamental tenets of this teaching is that through our thought, through our word, and through our actions, we manifest the very molecules of our life. And so when we focus on something, and I know that one is all and all is one, but boy, when we start cooking together, it's as if we lift each other up. When we focus on something, we're going to demonstrate it. And so you got 24 previous classes, whether it was in a trailer, whether it was here. We have demonstrated such amazing things at this unexpected income, then it moved to increased income. Now I'm going to extreme income. We have demonstrated so many things in this particular class. We have one of our members is named Barbara Updike. And through this Summer Prosperity class, she realized through the goals and the purpose that she wanted to live in Japan. And at that time, that was ridiculous. She couldn't move to Japan. And gosh, where has she been for the last 5 or 6 years? Living in Japan. We've had people have houses given to them. We have people who have had cars given to them. We have had members of this class who have had more than one car given to them. Just flat out given to them. We've had people have money that has shown up from audits on hospital bills, audits on IRS payments. We've had people who have had debts that they had long crossed off, come up out of the blue and paid. We've had people find money. We've had people literally have money fall from the sky, not dollars. They were $100 bills and $50 bills, not in the 20s. They were hundreds and 50s falling from the sky on I-95. Everybody screeched over and jumped out of their cars and were running around grabbing these bills. There was no overpass. There was no helicopter. There was no earthly reason why this money should have fallen from the sky, but it did. Money can show up in your bank account, in your mailbox, in your hand, or literally dropping out of the sky. And when you get your focus clear, you can create anything. So what's the difference between creating a diagnosis of cancer that vanishes into thin air or creating $100,000 that manifests from thin air? Nothing. There's no difference in that. When we get together and focus on money showing up out of the blue, we create money showing up out of the blue. And one of the reasons that I love this class, this isn't the end of our academic year, this is the beginning of our academic year, because I will teach you how to have money show up in your hand. And when you go, well, I've done this treatment for increased income, and I've got increased income in my hand, what that does for me is it develops faith. It develops trust. It develops a sense that the universe is right here. And as I open to it, things show up. So that when we need money, we have money. But when we need something that may not be able to be purchased by money, like a physical healing, like a healed heart, like a connection with someone, like an opportunity that opens up. When we focus on, we've created that with our money that I can hold and I can count it. I can say, look, I did this. I hold it in my hand, I count it, I can spend it, I can play with it. Then when things are a little bit more nebulous, we can go to that place inside of us and know that we can create that in our lives. That we're not at the effect of the world is at the effect of our thought, and we are in control of our thought. So, we are going to use something that we have used for decades. It started off being called the Unexpected Income Program, and then, true to form, students would come up to me and go, well, how can we call it the Unexpected Income Program if I'm expecting it? So fine. So we changed it to the Increased Income Program. I don't care what you call it. The words are a tool to get you where you want to go. Where you want to go is to say yes to life. Say yes to life. Say yes to life. Whatever is happening, say yes to it. Open up to it. Claim that there's a blessing in it. Accept it. And then take it. Don't be afraid to take what is yours. When one of our students, one of our members, was walking down Montfort one night and saw a brown wadded up bag under a bush, and she opened it up and found hundreds of dollars in cash, she didn't stop to wonder if she was good enough to accept that. She should accept that. She took the money and ran. And she said, that's my unexpected income. That's my increased income. When one of our members had an aunt pass and they gave her the house, she didn't say, well, what about all of the other nieces and nephews? Maybe they should have the house. No, she said yes. She accepted it. She took it. When one of our members didn't have any transportation and somebody said, here's a car, this is a pretty nice car too, they didn't wonder if maybe somebody else should have it. Everybody's got their own stuff. You've got your stuff. And if it's showing up in your hand, if it's showing up in your life, it's for you. And you taking the good in life doesn't take anything away from anybody else. For that matter, at the level of energy and creation and consciousness, it only grows. More abundance, more prosperity, more acceptance for good in all the world and the universe. So the more that you prosper, the more you lift other people up around you. It's so different from a world that says, there's only one, and if I take it, you don't get it. No, 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 no. In the world of abundance and prosperity, if I take it, more is created, and you can have yours too. So it's really important that we keep an eye on our thought process, on our ability to check out our self-worth, to listen to some of the thoughts that may be going on, the words that may be coming out, and if it's in any way limiting or negative, to stop that. And to say, no, I'm going to accept my good, I'm going to prosper, I'm going to thrive, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be wealthy. I am going to live the good life that I was always meant to live. I'm going to have that. That's your job for the next 7 weeks. The tool that we are going to use is called the Increased Income Program. I'm going off camera.
You'll be back.
And so what I want is help to pass these out. Share. Share. Everybody take one. Give one to John. And I want to go over it with you just so we can make sure we know what we've gotten into. Because I will guarantee you, you will create money in this class. My job is not to decide how much money you will create. That's your job. Your job is to accept that income, that money, and we're talking about money, that money that is showing up in your life. We can reach out into thin air and grab money. We can just reach out and grab it, and then we hold it in our hands, and there is no denying that we did that. We did that, and we got it. And then it's our job to play with it, and not to get all, oh, I shouldn't. So I want to go over this with you. You can open it up. Here's how it works. On the next panel is your treatment for increased income. Begin and end each day by reading it aloud, and you will set universal law into motion to receive your increased income. Now this is the bare minimum. Beginning and ending the day. I expect you to have this memorized by next week. It's not long. It's 2 paragraphs. Do it enough that you've memorized it so that when you come into class next week, you don't have to read it from the piece of your brochure. Some people choose to do this 100 times a day. Some people have done it 1,000 times a day. If you want to do it 1,000 times a day or even 100 times a day, I suggest you go to Dick's Sporting Good and get a counter. And you click it. Every time you do it, you click it, you click it, you click it, and it tells you how many times you've done it. I get confused on 100 days of gratitude. I don't know what day I'm on. So if you want to do that, that, in my opinion, will be the best use of your thought time in your life for the next 7 weeks. You don't need to watch TV. You don't need to listen to gossip. You don't need to do these other things. What you need to do is train your thought to demonstrate money. And you can do that. People have done this. Thousands and thousands of people have come through our prosperity class at Center for Spiritual Living, at Center for Creative Living when we were there. Thousands of people have done this and demonstrated large amounts of money. So, everyone in the program will work daily for all who wish to participate. Together, we will create wonderful demonstrations of our faith. To be included in this prosperity program, submit the form entitled, "Put Me on the List." That's the far panel. Put me on the list. You'll put me on the list. Let's jump over to that one. I want my name included in the treatments for increased income. I will share the increase that comes to me in the form of a 10% tithe off the top as a gift to Center for Spiritual Living, Asheville. I will teach you how to tithe in this class. People who tithe hold on to that because they are setting spiritual law in motion. They know that it works. They know that they create increased amounts of money by putting money out. Now, there are other people who don't know that yet. That's okay. That's why you're a student in this class, to learn. So I don't want to freak you out or chase you away. So we are starting with the increased money. The money that you weren't going to get if you weren't in this class. You wouldn't have had it, so it's no skin off your nose. The increased money, your agreement is to tithe 10% of that. Now, if we have another lottery winner in this class, which we had, came in with a giant check and brought over a tithe. If we have another lottery winner, your agreement is to tithe 10% on that. If you find a dime on the sidewalk, your agreement is to tithe 10% on that. Whether it's a dime or whether it's $1 million is not me, it's you. So I recommend you practice saying yes and opening up and accepting all of the good that life has for you, because the universe doesn't know the difference between a dime and $1 million. That's all coming at you, and it's the size of your doorway of consciousness that allows the amount to come in. The amount is in the relative, the supply is on the infinite, and it's your job to open up that doorway and to accept as much of the good that you can that life has for you. I understand that increased income means income received over and above any current normal income. So if you work on commission and your commission is the same this month as it was last month, that's not an increase. But if your commission is double what it was last month, that's your increase. And those of you who already tithe, you're going to tithe on all of it anyway because you understand the power of the law that you are setting in motion. Tithing is a spiritual practice. It is a spiritual practice. The law of increase is a spiritual principle. So whatever it is you put out, you're going to get back increase. It's going to expand. It's going to grow. And the way that we keep that flowing, just like the old pump in the field, is you keep it primed. And the more you prime it, the more water comes out. And if you let it go dry, then you gotta go find, beg, borrow, steal a bucket of water from somebody else who's all primed up and prime it up and get it going again. So you want to continue to do this, keep setting that law in motion. I don't care if it's a penny. I want you up here with your story, and we celebrate. And when you come up front, you come up with your tithe, unless you've already tithed, because there is a group of people in this center whose motto is, never let the sun go down on a tithe. And that's what PayPal is for. So if you've already tithed it, great, come up, say you've already tithed it, give your story so that you will lift us. We lift each other, we get all excited because a thought plus a feeling equals an action. And we want to really put the feeling into this so that we are opening up, setting spiritual law in motion, and accepting all of the good from life. If you want to do this, and you don't have to, you do not have to prosper and thrive here. You can simply sit back and watch others do it. If you want to, you're going to put your signature, your name, your address, your email, and your phone number on this. The signature is the most important. When you sign your name, you are making a statement. You are making a commitment. It's not casual when you sign something. So by putting your signature on this, you are committing to doing your treatment at least twice a day. I would recommend 100 times a day, 500 times a day. Go for it. Do it 1,000. Just do it once. Watch how good you feel. And for the increase, you're committing to tithe 10%. Why I want you to do that is so that you will learn. People who know the power of tithing never would stop. Never would stop. And we have had some people who tithe and then they stop and then they end up in my office and go, oh, everything fell apart, it's going so great, it's all horrible. Well, what's happening? Are you tithing? No. Well, I can't help you. I've taught you to tithe, you tithe, then you stop. Everything fell apart. That's all the effect of your cause. If you allow fear to get in the way, you're going to create fear in your life and you're going to lose what you've got. It's like the parable of the talents that I never got to do last class. Even that which you have shall be taken away. It's all in our picture of consciousness. It's not some outside power that's punishing you. It's that cause equals effect. And so what we do is we keep the law, keep setting the law in motion with our thoughts, with our words, and with our actions, and we come together and lift each other up. It's a very, very powerful program. Very powerful. I just want to read the Law of Giving and Receiving by Ernest Holmes before we go a little crazy with our treatment. Everything in nature moves in circles. What goes out must come back. Unless the seed is sown, it cannot bear fruit. There must be a planting time for every harvest. Those who give all receive all. Those who refuse to give limit the possibility of the greater good returning to them. This is your planting time. Love and you will be loved. Extend joy and you will become more joyful. The ancient Talmud says, God will doubly guide the already guided. And Jesus said, give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that ye meet withal, it shall be measured to you again. You do not give because God needs the gift, but because the giving increases, broadens, and deepens the life of the giver. Nor shall we give from the standpoint of duty. The universe refuses to bargain with us. It already has given us everything it has, but it also has provided that the gift of life can be received in its fullness only as it flows through us to the fullness of others. How wonderful is this exact balance which God and nature keep. how perfect it is the law of good, and how glorious the opportunity to join with the infinite giver in the givingness of the self to the joy of life. So this is your planting time. If you put it out, I guarantee you, it's going to come back. And it will come back bigger, because we live in an expanding universe. The universe is not shrinking, it's expanding, and everything that is coming into physical form expands. And so you give something out and you get more back. You can see it with hugs, with smiles, with opportunity, with time. Any of you not have any time, start giving your time away and watch how it creates more time in your life. This is the way life works. So as we learn to give, as we learn to think, as we learn to speak, as we learn to get excited, then we create in our lives. The way that the class is going to be structured is that we will open up with this treatment for increased income. We may open up with it a couple of times. And then the sharing starts. It's all well and good for me to tell you how I went from giving plasma, being on welfare, being homeless with a 3-year-old child, to being able to do whatever it is I want to do, have whatever it is I want to have, be who I want to be, go where I want to go. It's all well and good for me to say that, but for you to hear what happened to somebody else gives more depth to it. Well, that person sitting next to me, they got that? Wow, well, I can do that. If they can do that, I can do that. Truth is, you can do it all. So we share so that we can celebrate our wins, so that we can inspire each other and lift each other up in the cold, hard creation of cash. We're not sharing about anything other than money. The last night of class, you will have ample opportunity to share about all the wonderful things that happened that were not about money. But as we are learning to create money, the sharing is about money. So something wonderful may have happened. Somebody may have changed your tire or something like that. That's lovely. Keep it to yourself. We want to hear about money, because it's my job to teach you not only how to have money, but how to have faith, how to trust in the givingness of the universe, how to trust that as we set something in motion, things happen. So that not only will you always, for the rest of your life, have more than enough money to do whatever you want to do, but you will also have physical healings. You will also have emotional healings. You will also be able to move out into the world and be the magnificent spiritual being you have come here to be. That's my job, to teach you how. And so this, being the first class of our entire year program, is all about how to demonstrate money. Are we clear?
Yes.
So come on up with your stories. I know they're in the room. You got a story? Come on up. Come on up, get in line. Come on, get in line.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
You know, you get those emails that say, there's a class action suit, and if you want to be part of this, you know, don't know how much you'll get. So of course I always say, okay. Well, I started treating and started doing the prosperity treatment about a week ago. And I got in the mail a check for $12.06. So since I never let the sun go down on the tithe, I tithe $1.20.
Come on up, April. Shirley?
Knowing my worth, I requested a raise, and I got it.
Now, the class hasn't even started yet.
I always get my something before the class starts, so I got a check from the state of North Carolina for $63.20. So
Yay! Oh, this is fun. This is just fun.
Well, I have 3 things.
Woo!
I started a new job today, which unlocks me more money.
Yay!
What that will be, we shall see. And And then I got a call last week to do a job for somebody that I normally don't do, that I made $20 extra. I got the check yesterday. I got a refund from where my husband passed away from closing out an account for $56.
Yay!
So not knowing how much I have given 13%.
Yay! Who else? Come on up, Lynn. Lynn is our master money manifester.
She's got a list already.
I'm gonna PayPal, because I'm still figuring out my list. Okay, I got two, I guess you could say they were expected, but they came in right before the class, so, and they were very big and very significant. And, I had 3 Airbnbs this week.
If you got something, come on in, just get in line. I like it when the line goes around and around.
So, last week, my responsibilities at work have changed. And so I have this amazing increase from 10 communities that I oversee to 29. That's an unexpected increase. But with that comes a raise. So,
Wonderful, wonderful. Who else? Come on, Breezy. Are you getting up?
I am getting up.
I just turned my upstairs into an apartment, and it's already rented out.
First of all, I didn't know about I didn't put together the 10%, so I'll have to put it in later. My sister called me, and my mom had a life insurance policy back from the 1940s that was so old it wasn't on the computer system. And so we didn't know about it. I got a check for $300-something.
Hi, well, I just recently, very recently, launched a GoFundMe project for something very near and dear to my heart. And I was sitting at my desk yesterday morning, and I did my treatment for prosperity. And immediately afterwards, I logged on, and somebody had made a very nice, large donation.
I'm gonna do what you did. So I was watching you guys last summer. Shauna. Yeah. I was watching you guys last summer online before I was ever a member here. So by the time I came, I knew a few faces just from y'all walking up and talking. So that was cool. I've been a designer for almost 20 years, 18, and didn't have to work for my business in Raleigh because it just flowed to me for referrals. And I've struggled to get to know this community, and I was like, I was spoiled, truly. But this month, after like limping along and getting to know builders and realtors and all that stuff, I'm going to sell $114,000 this month. So I don't know what that translates into commission-wise, but y'all will know when it comes in.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm a therapist, and the summer is a really slow time because kids don't have the pressure of school and all of that, so they're really behaving pretty well. And, you know, I've been a little panicked about my schedule, but a couple of weeks ago, I'm just, you know, doing my work, and you just have to trust, you know it's the summer, you know it's the, you know, just the flow and how things are, and that your schedule will build. So my schedule has started filling back in because school starts in 5 weeks, everybody. And so today my assistant was going through, and I started doing the treatment about a week or so ago as well, like on my way to work, on my way home, when I start feeling fearful, I will start doing it. And my assistant was going through old charts, and she came across one today that we've kind of written off. It's, you know, this insurance and this insurance, but this one's not going to pay, but this one doesn't pay, and all of that jazz. And so we kind of just filed it back, forgotten about it, and she pulled it out, and she said, "You want me to call them?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, parents has just not been paying, and ask them if they want to come back in for service, and also tell them that if they want to come back or they want to take care of the bill, I'm glad to do them a decreased rate of $80 a session versus the $125. And she did that, and amazingly the guy said, oh yeah, we want to come back and we're glad to pay that. So that's $160.
Well, this is my third class, I think, for unexpected income, for expanded income. And, you know, I've been doing the treatment the last 2 or 3 weeks, because it gets in your brain over and over again. I said, I know it all, but what were the ends? So I have to look at the piece of paper. Anyway, I went up to Kentucky for the holiday, and my mom's taking me through the safe and this and that, and she gives me $4. But I'm not going to tithe on, what would that be, 40 cents? Because, you know, there's like 2 JFK half dollars and 3 silver dollars, and one of the silver dollars it was given to my great-great-aunt like 60 years ago. It's like dated 1888. So I have to wait to see what they're worth, and then I can tithe on
Anybody else? Anybody else? This is what we're working with. These are demonstrations that have occurred without the class even starting. This is bringing into race consciousness this idea that we can increase our income just by hearing the announcement or the email or whatever that the prosperity class is going to start. Things start to happen in our lives. Now, can you imagine if you go from that pretty passive conversation in your head to something much more active? Can you imagine if you take that energy of creation and instead of just la 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 la, go, no, I know that this is true, that this is going to happen. I'm creating this. I can feel the energy moving through me. I know that the molecules of form are manifesting as money and opportunity in my life right now. Can you imagine what will happen in your life? So I want to invite you to go for it in this class. And the way that we practice going for it is by repeating our treatment for increased income together aloud. And my question to you is, are you ready? Yes! Are you ready to have what you want to have? Yes! Are you ready to go where you want to go? Yes! Are you ready to do what you want to do? Yes! Are you ready to be who you are meant to be? Yes! We're going to do our treatment for increased income together aloud. I came to know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I will be holding that stack of forms. Now, it's not quite like put your hands on the television, but there is something to that. That energy of holding those, of treating on them every day, of everyone coming together and treating for themselves and each other, it lifts us. And I have seen so many miracles happen through this class. We've had people have physical healings. We've had people who could heal relationships with children that they had not spoken to for years and years. We have had people change their past. We've had people have their entire futures shift. Because when you change your thought, you change your life. And when you think something and energize it, then you supercharge it. So don't be all namby-pamby. God is the source of all. Get into it. Let people think you're nuts. Jump up and down in your kitchen. Celebrate it. And watch all of the things that happen. You go out to the mailbox and you bless that mailbox before you open it up. If you get a letter from the bank, you treat over that letter. It goes from a charge to a credit. If somebody calls you, know that only good comes from this, that this is a blessing, that this is a manifestation of money in your life right now, and you, every single last person here, will demonstrate money. And what happens is you go, oh, that made perfect sense. Of course that happened. Of course it happened after you thought it. Until you thought it, it hadn't happened yet. Even if it had to start happening in the 40s, however long that is, 70 years ago, 80 years ago. The past changes because of what you think in the present moment. And so if you continue to think thoughts of limitation and fear, you will create limitation and fear. But if you can get yourself to make that jump and not to care if people think you're nuts, to do your treatment driving down the road, to do your treatment at work, to do your treatment doing the dishes, to do your treatment all the time, you will forge new pathways in your brain that are pathways of abundance and prosperity and blessings. And those must manifest. The more you open up, the bigger your demonstrations. Honest to God, we had somebody win the North Carolina lottery in this class. And you can have whatever you can accept and say yes to. I know, because I came into this teaching stone cold broke, homeless, had a 3-year-old child, and had no clue what I was doing. That's what it took for me to leave my old life and be dropped into Eugene, Oregon, and to open up to these new ideas. So I'm sleeping on the floor, the living room floor of someone. My son is sleeping on the couch. There's not room for 2 of us on that couch. I'm on the floor. And somebody walked through, and I was in the middle of the floor, you know, all that. And they nudged me with their foot. They didn't kick me, they nudged me to like move over or something. And said, we're going to church, do you want to come? And for me, it took losing everything to lose my hold on the way I thought life was. To lose my investment in the old Barbara. The old Barbara was not a happy camper. But it took me losing everything to be able to be open to change and grow. And my first teacher, Bill Tolliver, in this little tiny place, sanctuary was no bigger than this room, the little tiny place in Eugene, Oregon, told me that if I could change my thought, I could have anything that I wanted, and I wanted a lot. I wanted a lot, I didn't have anything, but I wanted a lot. And I didn't have any resistance because I didn't have anything to hold on to. I had let go of everything. Person I had come out to be with in Oregon had died. Another one had been in the same car wreck that I was in and gone to the hospital and then gone back to Florida because that was a crazy place to be. And I had no people, I had no money, I had no car, I had no job, I had no future. But that meant that I had a future that I could create because there was nothing set in stone for me. There was nothing to hold on to, nothing to defend, nothing to try to be because I had lost everything. One of the first things that I learned was about tithing. That's why it is my intention to teach everybody how to tithe, how to practice the spiritual act of setting spiritual law in motion through the act of tithing. Because when we give money out, we set spiritual law in motion, but more than that, it scares the pants off of us. I'm not stupid. We had one person here who kept prospering and prospering and prospering, and she said, boy, you'd think it would get easier, but every time the check gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it makes me more and more nervous. But I know that's crazy, because I'd much rather give out a check in the thousands than a check in the hundreds, because I got that much more money. But still, the psychological process of it is, I'm not sure how I can make it on 100%. How in the world am I going to make it on 90? What are you, nuts? Yeah. Because we don't live in the logical realm. We are spiritual beings living in a spiritual universe governed by spiritual law. We are beings of light. We are beings of love. We are beings of energy. And we twinkle in and out of form. That's just basic particle wave quantum physics stuff. This is not solid. This is flipping from a particle to a wave, which is form, solid, energy, solid, energy, solid, energy. And so us individually, we are flipping from form to energy, form to energy, form to energy. I think that's why some people can see auras, because that's the energy body. Our bank account is flipping from form to energy to form to energy to form to energy. So what is it that allows that to change, or what is it that holds that in place? If our bank account is manifesting our fear, our worry, then being afraid and worrying will keep it locked in the limiting amount that is there now. We have got to shift that and open up to a greater possibility. And then, in literally a nanosecond, there's more money. Because it goes from form into energy, energy expands, and then it plops back into form, collapses into form is the new quantum buzz phrase, and there's more of it. Just like that. That's why instantaneous healings can happen. That's why something can look one way and then all of a sudden it's another way. Your contract's going to fall through and then it comes together. That's all about the energy of our thought. So when I learned how to tithe, I had 35 cents to my name. I had a 3-year-old, I didn't have any place to live, I didn't have a job, they even lost my luggage flying out to Oregon. I didn't have clothes, I didn't have anything. And this idea that I could do something to change my circumstances was so compelling to me that I took the whole 35 cents and I put it in that basket. My teacher told me, if you don't think you can afford to tithe, you can't afford not to. Because it is our fear of thinking we can't afford to tithe that keeps us locked into having a limited amount of money that says, well, you can't afford to do it. And we go backwards and smaller and more constrictive and more afraid. So there comes a point in time when we have to bust out of that. And I think, I mean, I'm sure there are other techniques, Tony Robbins, firewalks, all this stuff. But honest to God, tithing will get it in your face. You write out that 10% tithe check, and I encourage you to write it out sooner rather than later. Don't wait to see if you have any money left over. Because if you wait for that, your consciousness will create no money left over. So that you can prove to yourself that you can't tithe. I don't want to change, I don't want to change. I want to change, I want to change. I don't want to change, I don't want to change. I want to change, I want to change. So at some point, we've got to be willing to let go of the I don't want to change and risk changing. When I learned how to tithe, I had, for the first time in my life, a sense that I had control over my money. And I owned businesses. I owned a photo processing lab in Central Florida. I married what I thought was a wealthy man, and as soon as I married him, he got poor, because that was me. I had had money, but I had had no control over it. And so when I started to tithe, I got this sense that I could do something, and it shows up. I started tithing, and I started getting money. And keep in mind, I didn't have a job. I didn't have any place to live. There's no reason for me to get money. And I would tithe 10%. The 35 cents is why we celebrate the penny. Because it's not the amount of money, it's the fact that you created that. You manifested that out of thin air. You did that. And so I would tithe 10% and I would get some money. And it was the most amazing thing. It changed me. It changed me more than learning spiritual mind treatment, more than reading the Science of Mind textbook, more than anything else I've ever done on my spiritual path. Tithing changed me because I knew that I could challenge my fear and I could go forward anyway. It's not like all of a sudden I felt good about it. I didn't feel good about it. I thought it was the most stupid thing I had ever done, except I have some money now. So maybe there is something going on here. And allowing myself to move through my fear and to establish dominion over money was the most transformational thing I've ever had happen to me. And I want to give that to you. Those of you who tithe, you know you tithe. You're not going to stop tithing. This is your lifeline to always having more money. Those of you who don't, I want to offer this. Don't let your fear keep you in bondage to lack and limitation. Don't not celebrate the 40 cents. Celebrate it all, because if I could stand here and just go, you would go, wow. You wouldn't care if it was a penny or $1 or $100. You would go, wow. And I want to tell you that is exactly what you are doing. Each and every one of you can come in next week and say, I did this. I did this, and I'm working on my consciousness. We're going to give you lessons for the whole class on how to expand your consciousness and grow your ability to receive and demonstrate more and more. But once you find that you can do this and know it wasn't random, this was a demonstration of consciousness. This was an effect of you as cause to your life. Once you realize that you can do this, then all it is about growing it. Once you get the pump started, you don't go, oh, well, it's not a full stream yet, it's just a little bit. You go, oh yeah, here it comes, it's coming up, it's coming up. I used to have horses. It's coming up, it's coming up. I can feel it, I can feel the pressure coming. It's squirting out a little bit, it's here, it's here, it's here. That's the exact response to have as soon as you create something in your life. This is it, it's coming, I can feel it, I can see it, I know it's here. And you don't give up on it, you don't go and just squirt it a little bit, I guess I'm not gonna do it. You get all active, don't you? Anybody ever pump one of those pumps? You start working it, boy. What are you doing? I'm pumping my good, my prosperity is flowing. I'm not gonna stop, I'm gonna do my treatment over and over and over again because I can see it, I can hold it in my hand, I can have it. Yeah. This is what I do. I know how to create money, and I can teach you how to create money. Some people don't like it. Some people don't want to be part of the prosperity church. And that's okay, that's your right, you don't have to. But you know, I've been dirt poor, and I've been wealthy, and wealthy is better. Wealthy is better. You can't change the world if you're too busy being poor. And you don't help anybody by being poor. It doesn't serve you. It's beneath you. You have come to prosper. Jesus said, I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. You have come here to prosper. You have come here not to be limited in your ability to live, but to live fully. You know, the sunrise doesn't say, well, yesterday we had all the colors, so I guess we'll be gray today. I guess we'll just hold back. No. No, and if you haven't noticed springtime in the mountains, life bursts forth. If there's any plant that is not bursting, it's sick and dying. They don't stop and say, well, I had flowers last year. No, they go for it. That's our nature, is to go for it. And part of it is self-worth. When we don't have a lot of value on the outside, we don't have a lot of value on the inside, and so we want to look at ourselves and value ourselves more. Part of it is self-worth. Part of it is those phrases that may have been fed to us when we were too young to know the difference. Don't take the last cookie. You're too big for your britches. Don't be big. It's like women have a lot of that. Don't be big. No, man, be big. Use your outdoor voice inside. Be big. Take it. Accept it. Go for it. Live your life as the amazing spiritual being that you were meant to live. I said yesterday, or the day before, the week before, days, weeks. No, it was yesterday. In May, we had 114,000 pages opened on our website. I don't have the June statistics yet. But in May, 114,000 in 1 month. Now, is that 114,000 people? Probably not, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And we couldn't have that if we were playing the poor game. We wouldn't have a $35,000 camera system. We wouldn't have the equipment to create product, to put it out on our website. We wouldn't be able to pay for the website, the webmasters, all of that stuff. If we were playing poor, we wouldn't be able to do that. You do not, Marianne Williamson, you do not serve anybody by playing small. So we have to break through that aura of smallness, that shell that said, don't be noticed, don't be out there, don't be big, don't do this. My goodness, somebody may notice you, don't do that. We have to bust out of that and say, do it. This is yours to do. You didn't come here to play small. You came here to change the world. We are changing the world. And one of the ways that we have the structure and the support to change the world is that we believe that we can create money out of thin air.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. So I'm teaching you to tithe. I'm teaching you to raise your self-worth. I'm teaching you to value yourself. And I would love to teach you to play. Life is not a punishment. Life is not a test. You already won the prize. Wherever game we played, the prize was being able to jump into some kind of a body on planet Earth and to live, to look at color, to feel texture, to taste the tastes, to do what is yours to do, to climb the mountain, to swim in the ocean, to get in the creek, whatever it is for you to do, whatever feeds you, that's your job to do. And you have to do it. You have to do it to be true to yourself. You have to be in joy. What was it? Does it Teilhard Chardin said joy is the something presence of God, proof of the presence of God. That was a terrible. Joy is the proof of God. Yeah. Paraphrase that. So as you create money, learn to use it for yourself. Not all of it. Pay your credit cards down, pay your bills on time, be grateful that you got money. Do not ever curse your bills. Gosh, just turn off the electricity for a couple of days and see how much you want to pay that power bill, that electric bill. Pay your bills with love. Know that you always have more than enough. And as you do that, you open up to more and more and more. I gotta tell you, life is so much better when you've got lots of money. Life is so much better when you feel good about yourself. Life is so much better when you control your circumstances instead of letting your circumstances control you. Life is so much better when you've got enough to give to someone instead of, oh, I'd really like to help you out, but man, I don't have anything anyway. Well, whose fault is that? That's yours. Because you didn't learn how to think, you didn't learn how to create, and you didn't learn how to live. So over the next 7 weeks, we are going to do that. And we are going to do it by saying that treatment for increased income over and over and over and over again until we're saying it in our sleep, and that's a real thing. You do that to allow our subjective mind to subjectify it into these ideas. This isn't about somebody else, this is about me. Barbara, I know, I don't hope, I don't wish that God is the source of all supply, because whatever God is the source of everything. And that money, is God in action. It's the action and the flow of spirit in my life. Money isn't a bad thing. Money, they never said that money is the root of all evil. It was the love of money. The obsession of money is the root of separation, which is all that evil is. If you think your good only comes from money, then you're going to be separated. But money comes from you. Money comes from you. That money is God in action. I know that my good is here when? Now. It's not coming down the road. It's not working on it. It's not going to be here. Ram Dass, be here now. If it's not here now, it is never going to be here. No, my good is here now. I am so rich. 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 Those people, those rich people, that's you. That's you. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word which I speak in faith, knowing, now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the increased income program of our class, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is.
Hey. For those few of you that don't know me, yes, I'm married to Barbara, that's true. That's probably the best thing about it. And I also want you to know that the two or three of you that may not know this is that I had spinal back surgery a week ago today, and I'm doing actually very well from it. You'll notice tonight that Barbara's and my styles are a bit different. I won't sit always in a stool, but tonight, just to be easy on my body, I'm going to do this from here, and we're going to pursue some things. So I'm thrilled that you have found your way into this room tonight, and I hope that that what we do together is really find some ways to recreate ourselves over the never. Barbara was calling it 7 weeks. Actually, it's 6 weeks and 1 day, which is 43 days. So we're on a 43-day trek to make some real differences in our lives. And that's the work that I want to do with you, and that's what I'm calling you for to do. And to have a real commitment to that. Because Barbara's already obviously asked some big things of you. I will continue to do that. We're going to do that through the course of this work. But we're also going to be here supporting you through that. And the beauty of working together as a class is very powerful. So having one another and including one another and doing our repetitive work with this treatment is going to make a difference. And having one another's consciousness together in this will only add to what we're doing together. However, I wanted to start with a story, because Barbara was sharing all these wonderful stories about things that have happened through this class and through doing this treatment for freedom. That's not what it's called. Increased income. Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay. So whatever you want to call it, doing that treatment has been very powerful. So much so that I've had a number of opportunities to write for Science of Mind magazine. Science of Mind magazine is a very powerful publication. It has approximately 70,000 readers every month. I just wrote an article for it that'll be in the September magazine. But a few years back, I was asked to write an article, and I used that treatment that we're going to be doing in the article. I made a little shift to it because there was no class involved. But so I edited it a bit, but it in essence was the same exact treatment. And what I claimed in there is if anyone would do that for 28 days, that they would have a major shift in their prosperity. I guaranteed it. It was like really bold. And nobody challenged me on it. They printed it that way, and I thought, well, that's great. We moved on. And I don't remember when it was, but we were in a board meeting upstairs. And somebody came in and said there was a phone call for me. And they were really insistent to speak to me, and I said, well, tell them I'll call them back. Get a number, and I'll call them back, because I'm in this meeting. And so we did. And as soon as I got to the meeting, I called them back. And it was a couple in Southern California that actually lived in Glendale, who said that they were subscribers to the magazine, that they weren't actively involved in a community, but they got the magazine and they read my article, and they did what I said. They said it, and their commitment was 28 days. 28 days. So on the 28th day of saying that together, reciting it together, this husband and wife couple, they found out that they had actually won the California state lottery. And they were calling to tell me that. And they were quite excited. On my next trip to California, we made plans to get together to have dinner. And I went and met with them. They insisted on feeding me at their home. It was lovely. And they showed me their magazine. And they've written things in all of the margins and up the middle and underlined, and it was just, they chewed that thing up and just really taken it in, you know, they had consumed it. And that's what I want to invite you to do with this, to not let this be a casual process for you, to actually do it with some wild abandon, as Barbara would suggest, and to make it yours so that those words, those concepts, are really who you are and what you believe, and allow that to show up in your life. And you will be amazed. And I take nothing away from the 40 cents. That's lovely because it's a demonstration. You can take this as far as you want it. Now, everyone keeps asking me when I tell that story, so did they tithe on it? Yes, they did. But there was no commitment to tithe here, because if I put that in the article, they would have rejected the article. But they did make a nice tithe here, a very strong or a very wonderful and generous tithe, and they tithed a lot of other places. So it was an extraordinary experience for me, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for having an interest in your life to have more and to be more, because that's what this is about. It's not just about having more money one time. It's about shifting your consciousness around the idea of wealth. That's what I want to work on with you for the next 43 days, 42 and then today, is so that you will actually look deep into who you are and learn from your own path. And there's some things about that I want to share, but I want to get some of the more cliche-ish stuff about wealth past this moment. Although there may be something in here that we can learn together. Because before I do that, and I want to go there. Before I do that, Barbara mentioned that there are usually with this class we have thrown in some kind of a rah-rah physical experience of breakthrough. And the two things that we've done over the last many years is either a fire walk or a board breaking. And Brian Byro has done our board breaking. He is the world's champ on that. And I'm a trained fire walk facilitator, and we've done that. We have started the classes with him, and some classes we have ended. But we've not planned to do that this year. Although there's a notion that will not leave me alone. I'm going to get those couple of things out of the drawer. I'm considering doing something that I have never done before. I've done the process, but I've never led it, and I want to know if over the next few weeks, if you'd like to learn about spoon bending. Oh, maybe if I turn this thing on. See, going from a spoon or fork into things that look more like this. And I want these to go around the room, so why don't we just start over here, and everybody just take a hold of those, and you'll see that these are not simply the little spoons and forks we use here at the center. which would be not too hard to do. These are actually some substantial pieces of steel that, that take a different kind of consciousness to move through. Y'all into this? You want to get it? Okay, so on our last night of class, when it's my turn, we'll do spoon and fork bending, okay? Great. So the thing that I want to ask you to do is to have a commitment to move through this with me. To come to class, yes, for the next 6 times that we meet, but also to be fully engaged in this process every day. So that's what I'm looking for. That's the way to get something out of this class. It isn't that you pick it up once a week. It's so you're actually thinking about this extra every day. So I'm asking you, are you willing to do that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Did you have a thought around that, Judy?
Do we need to bring a spoon? Our own spoon?
No, we'll provide the spoon. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Otherwise, some people will bring the kind in the kitchen, and those you can bend by pushing them on your plate. No, you've done it. Okay. So back to this idea of the cliche of wealth. What would you think that might be? Millionaire. What does it mean to be a millionaire? So I want to talk about that for a minute, just so that we've got that off handled. Millionaire is that standard that we all sort of look at, and many people don't care about it, but some people do. I want you to know there's a very good possibility that there are millionaires in the room tonight. Not that I've checked anyone's financial balance sheet, but it's really likely that there's somebody who has a net worth, or people in the room that have a net worth of $1 million or more, because there's lots of millionaires. You know, there's 36 million millionaires in the world.
Yes.
36 million of them. Many of them live in the United States. And an interesting thing about them, even though they are only about 0.5% of the people who live on the planet, they control 46% of the wealth of the planet. People who have a net worth of $1 million or more dollars. That's pretty amazing. So is it possible for everybody in this room to be a millionaire? Yeah, sure. If you had that standard of commitment for yourself, if you set that as your goal, you certainly could. Because I can't speak of anybody else, I'll speak of Barbara and me. That we have not quite achieved that as our net worth. However, I can assure you, before we leave this center, we will have achieved that, because that's our intention, is that we will retire. And that's the old classic for retirement as well, you know, is that you would have $1 million to retire on. And that's still a reasonable thing, but it's not unreasonable for anybody to achieve that. Let me tell you what is accomplished by having $1 million today at retirement. It means that one could retire with, if someone did retire with a net worth of $1 million, that they could withdraw from that about $40,000 a year, probably for the rest of their life. $40,000 isn't that much money. That's not that much for an annual income. But one could live modestly on $40,000 off $1 million and have that to live out their lives. Okay, that's great. But what if you're a Gen Xer? You're about 42 years old. What would you get out of $1 million when you retire? Actually, you get about $19,000 a year. Not that much comparatively, and obviously, if inflation happens between now and the time a 42-year-old would retire in their mid-60s, that's not much to look forward to. What if you were a millennial? Oh, if you were a millennial and you had $1 million of retirement, you would be living below the poverty line. So, what does $1 million mean? It means what you want it to mean. You use that the way you want. If you want to set that as a personal goal, that's great. I absolutely support that. If you have higher goals, if you have different goals, that's all fine. I just wanted to play with that idea of $1 million. If somehow I pointed out someone in the room that was a millionaire, some of you would think, well, that's great. You would love that for them and be happy for them. And then others in the room, maybe not this room, but in some rooms, might just be a little standoffish to that, thinking somehow there's something wrong with that. But there is not anything wrong with having wealth. And if you have any of that going on in you, hopefully we're going to assassinate it before the end of this class. Because there's an old saying that comes from a 19th century humorist, and the saying goes like this: it's not what we don't want that prevents us from succeeding, it's what we know that just ain't so that is our greatest obstacle. So what this class is about is not necessarily learning some new skills or some new ways of being. It's going to be a lot about unlearning things that we have accepted as being true that are in our way. And when those things are in our way, we're not going to get to where we want, right? So we got to rethink this thing. So we got to start over. We need a new mindset. We need a new prosperity mindset. And I'm calling it your money mindset. And that's what we're going to work from in this class, is the idea of unlearning some things and to observing some things about how we think, because this is how thinking works, is you do it without thinking. It just comes. And most of it, you've thought it so many times before that thinking it again simply takes you to a place of, well, of course. But is that really serving us at that level? Maybe not. Maybe it's not serving us. And maybe some of those things we need to rethink and reestablish a new mindset for who we are and how we function. So I begin with some rhetorical questions that I want us to consider together. This money mindset, I'm calling your inner frame of reference. It's the thing that you go to automatically in your life that is either working for you or getting in your way. Much of what you and I think from moment to moment gets in our way. We don't even know it because we've bought into it. And we think that that's so. But is it so? Is it really so? Is that the way life works? And much of these things that we think are so are about ourselves. So I have some questions for you. Again, rhetorical questions. I'm not asking you to answer them. But I am asking you to look at these things and to see what you think. Is this real? And what is real for you around these ideas? So this is about your money mindset. If you'll write some of these down, great. Sometimes reviewing them later, you might even get clearer answers than you would in the middle of this class. So we're gonna, these are our questions. We're gonna go one at a time through these. What do you really believe about yourself? Now that's a pretty broad question. But a lot of the things that you believe about yourself are the things that get in your way. The things where anything that's connected to I can't, or I don't know how, or in any way there's something about you that isn't the incredible being you are. Anything that is a limiting thought about your very existence is what gets in your way. And you're justified, and you have reasons why that's so. You can tell me stories about how all of these things have happened in your life that went a certain way, that demonstrate with absolute certainty to you that this is so. And still, I'm telling you, you're making it up. And you're using evidence that is not supporting you. You're using information that you've collected that is holding you back. And you think somehow it's being helpful and realistic. I want to invite you to stop being realistic and to reevaluate who you are at a whole different level in a whole new way. So what is it that you believe about yourself? You might want to take a little inventory of that and look at some of that and see what pops up. A lot of times things won't pop up until you're faced with a certain situation. But those situations we're going to start looking at to see what is it that, or how is it that you deal with circumstances in your life, especially the tough ones. When do you crater? When do you give up? When do you think you've had enough? Because those are the moments that make the difference. Okay? When you hear that you're a powerful spiritual being, which you'll hear around here a lot, when you come to class on Monday, or you're here on Sunday, or you're here for a lot of other things, when you hear that you're a powerful spiritual being, do you believe it? Do you believe it? How much do you believe it? Do you believe that you can create virtually anything in your life. And I ask a kind of parallel question to that. When you see people out in the world, you read about them in the paper, or you read about it in a book, or hear about them on a profile on TV, and they're doing some amazing, incredible, mind-boggling thing. And you go, wow, that's wonderful what they're doing. That's amazing how they do that. Do you see yourself as a peer of them? Do you see you as someone that could be as achieving in life as them? Do you? Do you think you have within you the capacity to do that? That and even greater things. I mean, most people on the planet, being as Christianity is the #1 religion on planet Earth, believe that this one named Jesus, his real name is Yeshua, but we'll call him Jesus to make it easy, was an amazing presence that did amazing things. Many people call him a God. Okay. And what did he say to the people? That the things I do, you will do these and greater. He didn't hold back. Yet we put him up on a pillar, societally we do. And yet he said you could do this too. And do we do that? Do we hold ourselves to that standard? Oh no, we worship the man in the pillar. Yet that's not what he suggested we should do. Wow. So where do we see ourselves in the spiritual scheme of things? Where do we see ourselves? Do we see ourselves as the powerful beings we are? The unlimited, absolute beings that we are? Good question to pose, and good question to sit with a bit. How well do you relate to others? I have never known anyone that was successful who did it all by themselves. I know one. Nobody. I mean, you don't do it by yourself. It's impossible. You must have relationships to achieve success. You must have relationships to be prosperous. You have to have someone to interrelate with to be successful. And the beauty of it is, when you're successful, you obviously pull the people up around you. Which means, if you look at that conversely, is you want to be around people that are successful, so they pull you up. You must be in relationship with people to be successful. You must be in relationship with people to be prosperous. The money that flows to us, the wealth that flows to us, has to come from somebody. Now, okay, exceptions. Yes, you can go and find a gold mine or a gold vein and mine that up and take it somewhere and have lots of money. But even if you didn't have, in that moment, someone to sell the gold to, what good would it be? So, my own example of how there's an exception is no exception. There's always somebody else in the game. So how do you relate to others? Can you praise them, and can you see the powerful being that they are? Ah, good work. Do you feel that you deserve to be wealthy? Ah, the big question. Do you feel that you deserve to be wealthy? Many people don't. No, I don't. I don't deserve that. You know, I'll just get by. When ever I want to push Barbara's button, you know, no, I'll be all right. It doesn't. It actually gets a button push, but it isn't worth it.
Not till you get home.
So, being deserving is part of this mindset you want to create. I deserve this. Why do you deserve it? What have you done that makes you deserve it? I deserve it because I'm a powerful spiritual being, alive on planet Earth, and this is what I've come to do. Absolutely. And when we're clear about that, when we know we deserve it, and we act as on being deserving, something shifts. Something makes that work. Now I want to push your buttons. Some of them, not all. I want to push some of your buttons. You know someone that's figured this out on planet Earth? His name is Donald J. Trump. And you go, ugh, what a nasty man. You can call him nasty all day long. The man understands these principles. He really does. And you can say he's obnoxious, that he's nasty, that he's all kinds of things. And you may or may not be right. But he has figured this out. He knows how to do this. Now, he came from some money. His dad gave him $1 million. 20 million? Okay. 14? Okay, thank you for the correction. He gave him $14 million, which is a ton of money. But the man turned it into billions. Yeah, and one of the things that he figured out that is really important to understand in this idea of deserving. Do you think Donald Trump believes he deserves this? Yeah, he does. He's the most amazing self-promoter I've ever seen. Okay, to me, I am dazzled by his ability to be so self-promoting. And he has all these properties around the world with his name on it. The place that Barbara and I go, when we go to the beach, we have to pass 4 skyscraper Donald Trump properties. 5. Because there's Donald Trump Tower 1, Donald Trump Tower 2, Trump Tower 3, there's Trump International, and Trump Resorts. And they're all sky rises, and that's just on one strip of beach in the north part of Miami Beach. Yeah, I know. So, and with all of his flaws, he's got this figured out. He deserves it. And because of that, he has much. He's lost it all too, you know? Yeah, and what happens? He gets it back. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. But that's true because of an element of this game, he is able to do that. And I think he's a good example here because he's not a popular example. Right?
He thinks he is.
Whatever he thinks. He's got this figured out. He's got this idea of deserving wealth figured out. So I did that to you intentionally, even though it wasn't in my notes. All right, let's move on. Are you able to move forward, even if you are feeling fearful, worried, or unsure? Not many people are. Usually it's being fearful, worried, and unsure that stops people. But can you still move forward? Can you still say, I have a plan? Can I still say, this is important, and I'm going to do it, even though I'm freaking out on the inside? Let me tell you my angle on fear. Fear is this amazing energy based in our ego to protect us from ourselves. Oh, this could go badly. You could fall on your face. People could despise you for this. People would laugh at you. And if anyone doesn't want to be laughed at, except when we're having a good time, this could be a total failure. All of those things come out of our ego to say, maybe you should hold back. And the thing to do with fear is to say, hey, fear, thank you. I get it. I get what you're saying. And you're right, it could happen. But you know what? I'm going to do this anyway. Because this is what I'm here to do. You know, and your fear won't have an answer to that, except more of the same. So the idea of being able to move forward, and whatever the plan is that you've created in your life, if fear would stop you, then you're not ready for it. So don't let fear stop you, is what it comes down to. Don't let the fear and some worry and some uncertainty stop you. They will always be there. They will always be chanting in the background that you shouldn't. You probably shouldn't. Okay? And the last one that we've got here is, can you take action even if you're not motivated? Ooh. God. I would rather read the phone book than do this. I would then make this call because, again, they could say no. This could backfire. This could not be the direction. You laugh at me. The same kind of thing. And so I'm really not motivated to move forward because I am not certain how it's going to turn out. God, if we were always certain about everything, then nothing would happen. There would be no need to take a risk, to take a chance, to look more consciously into where we're going. So motivation sometimes is not enough. And it's our job, okay, to motivate ourselves, but even when the motivation isn't there, to do the next step. And maybe, you know what, maybe that next step will motivate us. Maybe that's what we need to have happen. To get some new breath into this, to bring some life into it, to make whatever is what we are working on move forward. And I don't know how big your plans will be out of this class, but I want to guarantee you that if you work with me through this whole thing, you'll have a plan. There will be something for you to achieve in your life that only you can do. And it will make a difference in many lives, especially yours. Okay? So these are the things to look at in a mindset. Give me a moment to look over my mini notes here to make sure that we're on the same page and that I've given you what I want to give to you. So, a statement. Your character, your internal thoughts, the ones that never get spoken out loud, that no one else ever hears. Even you don't hear it, but it's going on inside your mind. And the beliefs that you carried all of your life are the ones that will determine how your life will turn out. It's not about something on the outside. In fact, that's the issue here, is that there's the outside part of you and there's the inside part of you. The outside part of you has some powerful things that you can have, especially in this idea of prosperity. Wealth management, investment strategies. There's all this good stuff. But what's more important is what's going on inside of you. Here's an example. If you want to be an electrician, there's all kinds of tools and gizmos and gadgets that an electrician has in the toolbox. Quite amazing. The things I've seen electricians pull out tools and jam them against the wall and say, here's your problem. Whoa. What about the stuff on the inside? What if you would have got all those gizmos and gadgets and tools? Are you an electrician? No. You have to know it on the inside. And one thing you have to have, because you're working with a powerful force, this thing called electricity, you got to know how to work with it. You can kill yourself. You put something in the wrong place and zap yourself and end your life in a heartbeat. We've known people that have. So how do you become an electrician? By knowing what an electrician knows. Which is more important, the gizmos and gadgets or the knowing? They're both important, but if I had to rate one over the other, it's the internal knowing that'll get you where you want to be if you want to be an electrician, way more than the gadgets. To take a floor plan or an electrical plan from a piece of paper to a structure that has electrical circuits and powers that run through it and do all the things you want to do, that make the lights come on, the electricity, the electrical appliances and all the other things, you know, to turn it into something real. And isn't that exactly what you want to do in your life? Don't you want to go from this idea of how you could be wealthy and successful in your life to actually having it where everybody can see it? Of course that's where you want to go. That's where you're going. The internal work is the more important work. And that's the work we'll do here. You'll figure out your path. You'll figure out how that's done, whether it's by opening a business or investing in a certain line of things or whatever it is that you will have as your path. It will be only your path. So there will be no, all of us are going to be electricians here. It's just not going to happen. What we can all be, though, is successful and prosperous in our lives by doing the internal work. So that's the work that we'll be doing here. That's the work that we'll accomplish and achieve this through. And all of us are somewhere on that path already. I'm not suggesting everybody comes in here as a prosperity Dumbo. You're not. Like I said, there's probably already people who are millionaires in the room. What? Okay, you did that. I thought that was signal. I'll scratch that itch later. Here's a perfect perfect example of disbelieving yourself. I've been on this track for a while. And I'm proud of what I've accomplished in the world. I've focused on achieving certain things. And a lot of it hasn't been about achieving my own wealth. And that's something that I'm really focused on now. So this class is important to me as it is to you. You know, and from my perspective, more important, but I can't judge that. But here's something that I have that was a great gift to me that just came with this process I've been going through with my nerve issue and my spine and all the things that I've been through. I got a kind of a get well card from a member of this center that I adore. And I'm not going to read all of it to you, but I'm going to read a little piece of it to you because it just was, and I just got it today. Let me read this to you. Dear John, what an amazing healing journey you have been on, and no doubt many profound insights have been shown to you. I know firsthand how these challenges can cause you to question your faith and beliefs. On the road a bit further, the gifts are revealed. So you are blessed, and you have we are blessed to have you in our lives. And she closes there. That's not true. I do not need to question my faith and my beliefs. I do not have to question because I went through a back issue, who I am and why I'm here. That has not changed one tiny bit. It has deferred my attention a little bit for a short period of time. But I am on my path. I am on course. I am here to do what I'm here to do. And my life works. Even though yesterday I called myself a writhing, blob of writhing pain. I did call myself that. And for a few days that was true. That was my physical condition. But the truth of my life is, I have always known who I am. I am on my path. I am doing my work. And I want you to have that same resolve in your life, no matter what the conditions look like. Because you are not defined by the conditions in your life. You're defined by who you say you are and by acting on that. So thank you for this reminder. I have several what I'm calling prosperity principles that I want to share with you. The first one's about to happen. Before I do, I thought it'd be a good idea to define this word principle. We've bandied around quite a bit in New Thought. What is a principle? So I went right to the internet and found a definition of the word principle that I wanted to share with you because I really liked it. A fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior or for a chain of reasoning. Again, a principle is a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior or for a chain of reasoning. Okay, that's a principle. So what would be our first and primary prosperity principle? Your prosperity will grow only to the extent that you will grow. Now, what would be the big idea that would try to defy this? It would be winning the lottery. Because all you gotta do is buy this $2 card, scratch it off, or listen to the news and see what the numbers are, and have them matched, and voila, you're very wealthy. Here's the thing. Statistics over the years that lotteries have been around have so clearly shown that the financial state that someone is in when they win the lottery is a place that they will return to at some point in their life. Doesn't matter how many millions of dollars it is that most people blow through it. Why did they do that? For all the questions that I asked earlier. Because nothing really changed but the amount of money they had as their net worth. And it logically, for most, not all, but for most, it's a thing that they go back to. Not out of fault, not out of blame, not out of being wrong. It's just what their comfort level is. And I gotta tell you, there's some responsibility with having wealth. It doesn't come without strings. It really does. Even when you've earned it, it still comes with strings. What is the first thing they tell you to do when you win the lottery? Call your lawyer and disconnect your phone. Right, those are the things you're supposed to do. Because everyone that you have ever known is going to ask you for some of that money. Because that's how it works. And it's never going to be any different. That's how it works. Okay, so what do we learn from that? We learned that there is a responsibility to yourself for the wealth that you have in your life. That's part of the equation. That you've got to do that. So you've got to grow into that wealth as you attain that wealth. And you're growing into it doing the affirmation for the class. You're growing into it by doing that, by believing that, by absorbing that. But you must do it in other ways as well. And although we've had those moments where someone won the lottery here, or they won it in California, or money fell out of the sky, fundamentally, that's not enough to change who you are as a person. And you must be willing to change as a person to accept and maintain that wealth. So be prepared to do that. Be prepared to know who you are. 80% of all people will not achieve the financial freedom that they seek in their lives. But you have that opportunity, everyone. Your prosperity will grow only to the extent that you will grow. That's number one. Prosperity principle number two. If you want to change the outcomes in your life, you must first change yourself. So here's my example for that. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to run through this. Anybody recognize this model?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, those of you that have been in classes know that this is the science of mind teaching symbol. It's simple. It's a circle that represents all that is. And it has two lines that run through it, delineating three parts. Those three parts can be identified with many different terms. But for our purpose tonight, in the next couple of minutes, we're going to call it seed, soil, plant. Here's what most people do in their lives. They plant their seeds of their ideas. The soil is the medium of life that actually creates the outcome from those seeds. And you get what? You get a plant. Now, some people in their lives don't like their plants. They don't like the plants that sprout in their lives. Some of them look like weeds. They're not interested in that. Where's their focus?
On the weeds.
Always on the plants. Always on the weeds. Always on what's not working. Always on not enough. It's not the right kind. It's not the right way. They focus on that. And what do they get? More of the same. Always more of the same. So, true to the principles we teach in our teaching here, our focus in this class is going to always not be on the plant, but on seeds. What seeds are you planting? And what are the seeds? That's a metaphor for ideas, for the things that we believe. That's what we're planting, and we're planting them in soil, which is mind. And they're going to grow. They're going to grow. And we think, oh, well, we didn't plant seeds to get those weeds. Yes, you did. You certainly did. Out of what? Out of your fears, out of your worries, out of your uncertainty. You plant those seeds, and they show up. And they take nourishment from the plants you want. It's contraindicated. The thing you must focus on to change the circumstances are the ideas that you're starting with. There's nothing more important. There's nothing more important than that. Go back to the principles.
First two words.
If you want to change the outcomes in your life, you must first change yourself. Where do you change yourself? In the planting of your seeds. In the thinking around this idea. Yes, get ready to put those out. Okay? That's the model. Where are you in this model? In the top. Now you think you're at the bottom because your body's in the bottom, but the truth is that your mind, the thing that you are, spirit incarnate, don't look at the incarnate part. your spirit, you have ideas. And some of them are serving you and a lot of them aren't. We're going to dig those up as seeds and stop planting them and working on planting the things that will work for us. That's what we want to do. Okay?
Okay.
As I said, this is not a 7-night class. It's a 43-day class. So what I want you to know is that I'm sending you home with homework. I'm sending you home with a series of questions, and here's what I want you to do. Take one of these sheets and pass them on. But I'm not asking you to do this one time, I'm asking you to do this 7 times. 7 times, exactly. No, you take one. What I'm giving you is the questions. I'm not taking care of your paper supply. Yeah. So here's what you're going to do. Every day, I want you to set aside about 20 minutes. I don't care whether you do it in the morning with your coffee or you do it at the end of the day after you have dinner. I don't care how you do that, but somewhere in there, I want you to answer these few questions. Okay? Yes, they are. I wrote every one. Let's go through them very, very quickly. How did I create this? I want you to have an idea of something in your life that is a plant that you don't want. How did I create this? And that, if the answer is I didn't create this, you're lying. You got to look at this until you know why. Don't go beyond this. Don't write I didn't and move on. There's nothing else to do until you know that you did that. It is not an acceptable response that I didn't. Second one is, what was I feeling when I created this? Be honest with yourself. What were you feeling? What was important to you? I gave you a perfect example of this in my talk yesterday on Spring Sparkle Day, and how I had all this angst around me when I hurt my back. I did this. I did it, and I did it in my thoughts every bit as much as I did it in my body. Okay? What can I learn from having created this? Never do it again. Please go deeper than that. What can I learn? What is the lesson from this? What do I want to change here? Okay? What would I rather create in my life in place of it? Back to seed. But seed would be a better seed to plant than the one I planted here. How much I changed my sense of myself to create an outcome I prefer. I left a word out there. Boy, that's me. I need an editor always. How much can? Put the word can. I changed my sense of myself to create an outcome I prefer. How must? I shouldn't change it on my notes. I already did it right. How must I change? I did it right. I have the problem with the mistake of the changes on mine. Okay, and the last one is, what can I do today or tomorrow? If it's the end of the day, what can I do tomorrow to make that change in me a reality? Okay? That's your assignment for the next week. Now, if Barbara loves to end this class on time, I take total responsibility for us going over about 5 minutes. Please forgive me. God bless you. This has been fun.
Love offering. Take out what you're going to give. You're going to put me on the list full of pieces of paper in the basket. I don't want the other 2 panels. Keep them so that your treatment stays with you. If you put the whole flyer in here and you don't have that treatment memorized, you go home and go, oh, I don't have the treatment. So tear this off and just put that in the basket. John and I will be treating with it in our hot little hands starting tomorrow morning. I do love this class. I love this class so much because it gives us a chance to be ready. Yay! Are you ready? Yes! Are you ready to reach your hand out and grab money? Yes! Are you ready to have so much money in your life that you have to hire people to help you manage it? Yes! You buy what you want to buy. Yes! Go where you want to go. Yes! Do what you want to do. Yes! Be who you have come here to be. Yes! We're going to do our treatment for increased income together aloud. I clearly know that God is the source of answer.